Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Stoney.
Hello.
And Jason.
Hello, everyone.
How's everyone's week so far?
Crazy.
Good.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. I actually got in my yard, cut the grass.
Oh, yeah.
Weeded.
I got a bunch of big weeds around here.
I had to do a lot of yard work. So
I saw this great picture this weekend of a guy. It's a meme, and his wife said, "We need to talk when you're done cutting the grass." And so he was laying down in the grass cutting it with his scissors.
That's
yeah,
funny.
I love a well manicured yard.
Okay.
I do. So
Our grass, we have, I think it's centipede, and it hasn't taken root yet. It hasn't really kind of taken off yet. And so I dethatched the backyard to try a new dethatcher out, and it worked great. And I'm going to do the front probably this weekend. But I think we need to put some seed down because it's not green yet. And I'm kind of disappointed in it. So we're going to have to get some of that bonus S stuff and spread it out and kill all the dandelions and the clovers and everything else.
Well, I normally put that out, that Scott's bonus S every year, but I haven't done it yet. It just really hasn't been raining very much.
No,
so I'm trying to coordinate a day when I know it's going to rain, then put it out right before. So
if you want to borrow the dethatcher, let me know. Because I tell you what, it pulled up a lot of the dead stuff, and it helps aerate it, and then you put the bonus S and the seed
let
down.
That come up and get it thick again.
Yeah. And if you have a mulching blade on your mower, or I can bring my mower over and mulch it, it helps fertilize it.
Yeah, because I have centipede. I have centipede. I do.
And I was very impressed with this dethatcher because you looked at it, there was nothing green in it. It pulled up all the dead stuff. So it was kind of interesting, and we're going to do the front yard. And I guess with the housing market the way it is, we've just decided to stay where we are for a little bit.
Right.
And so we're fixing up the things that we need to fix up. We got to do a little landscaping, got to redo some shutters, and Manny's Woodworking, the guy who did our wonderful table
Good
here.
old Manny.
Yeah, thank you, Manny. I think we're going to get him to build some shutters for the house. And maybe even get him down here to hang out a little bit, and I'll cook him some barbecue, and he can help me install them, and we'll see about that. And
what a fun little excursion you guys are having.
Yep. So I think we're gonna stay in the house because it just doesn't pay right now
Interest
to move
rates.
because you get $100,000 less of a house for more monthly note, and it just doesn't make sense right now.
Yeah, it's not a good time for people that are looking to buy.
No, it's not.
There's a lot of things going on.
But Stoney, I hear you've been writing a book?
Yeah, for about 20 years now.
20 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The concept came to me.
What are we talking about here? What's taken 20 years?
I can't read my own handwriting. No, I'm trying to put things in play. It's called Hitler's Revenge is actually the title of the book, but it's about disposability in America. Basically, when World War II ended, the Allies got together and went into Germany and said, okay, we need to rebuild you. And they've done this, America has done this in basically every war that they've been into except for one. And we're just going to leave that alone. And they went to Porsche and to Volkswagen and said, hey, look, we found these plans. And it was actually a car designed by Adolf Hitler. And it's called the Volkswagen Bug, the people's car. And they said, y'all can build this car. And it became the most popular car in the late 50s, 60s, and 70s in America, but it was a disposable car. If you dented the fender, 6 bolts, fender came off. They only made 3, 4, 5, 6 colors at one time. You could pop a new one on in 20 minutes. If you blew the motor, less than, a couple $100, an hour and a half later, you've pulled that motor out and put another one in. And basically, if you wrecked the whole car, you could afford to buy another one. And so one day I was thinking about this, and I was looking at this car, and I was trying to remember what was disposable before this disposable item came out. And I started just chronologically putting like disposable diapers really didn't make it. I mean, people were kind of experimenting with stuff until the 70s and 80s. They had kind of had some diapers and started experimenting in the late 50s and 60s, but it was still the cloth diaper. And then I just started timelining. Now what's disposable in the world? What in your time, in your day, how many disposable things do you think you use in your day-to-day activities now?
Oh, a lot.
Oh, just cups.
Give me some examples.
Styrofoam cups.
Okay.
Paper plates. I would venture to say many appliances.
Mm-hmm.
TVs.
Okay, TVs. There's no more VCR or TV repairmen around.
Right.
Why? Why?
Because it's cheaper to buy a new one.
Okay. But do you remember when your grandparents had a TV, a console TV, that it was an heirloom?
That's right.
Their intention was to hand this down to their kids and grandkids, and there's still, those TVs are still there today. You can't really use
technology.
them.
What's that, CRT? I believe that.
CRT, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Technology that powered those TVs?
The old bulb TVs. It's crazy.
There's a lot of things. I mean, our whole society is kind of.
I think even before
that way.
Even before that, like this is a different topic, I think, but I think it's adjacent to it. Is the light bulb, the fact that the light bulb, like whenever they started like creating light bulbs, and they started like mass producing them for people, like whenever that was like a turning point in history, they used to last too long. Or last indefinitely. And obviously the manufacturers of light bulbs were at a point whenever it like reached critical mass where everyone had kind of had light bulbs already. They were losing money because at a certain point in time, no one needed a new light bulb in a certain way. And they started to realize, okay, we have to kind of like have some sort of gamification of the system here where like you need new stuff from us to keep paying us for more things. And it was just, I don't know if it's actually like a term that they coined or not, but it is now in history as planned obsolescence.
Well, that's true. Even these TVs that our grandparents had, you could replace something, you could fix something, you could keep it. I was talking to somebody a couple of months ago about my marriage to Miranda, and they've been married 65 years. And I asked him, how do I do that? And the guy asked me flat out, he says, well, do you want to be married or right? And I says, well, I want to be married.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. And he was joking, but his wife also said, there's an old saying from our time, if it's broken, you fix it. You don't throw it away.
So you're talking about relationships.
That's relationships. Right. But now think about this. Relationships are disposable too. If I don't like what you're saying, I'm going to cut you off. You're done. You're not my friend anymore. I'm going to cancel you. So we don't want to put forth the effort into even relationships. Children are disposable. How many kids are up for adoption or get aborted? And I'm not going to get into that whole thing, but how many even kids and people are disposable now in your lives? What is the divorce rate now? Over 60% now?
It's definitely over 50% that relationships fail.
There's a joke out there. What's the leading cause of divorce in the nation? Marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I think though within that, I think the biggest driving factor is money. I believe if I saw a statistic.
Or lack thereof.
Well, I think it's just money. I think it's the stresses of finances is one of the large. And I think over 70% of divorces are actually initiated by women now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Okay. That is far more likely that a woman will file for divorce than a man.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yep. But, you really talk about divorces and you talk about the disposability of relationships with marriages. That I would venture to say that goes back to when Ronald Reagan signed in no-fault divorce.
Okay.
Back when he was governor of California. That's kind of where really started. This idea of basically marriage is just Well, if I'm not happy and I don't feel fulfilled, and send it. That kind of started that. I
did not know that. That may be something I need to research and add into the.
Take a look at that with the signing of, and I think even Reagan even regretted of the consequences of that, because prior to that, now, I don't believe anybody should stay in some abusive relationship or anything like that, and that's not what I'm talking about. But there are a lot of divorces now that are happening that has absolutely nothing to do with abuse or anything. It's just basically, I'm not being fulfilled.
I think another big thing is kind of circling back around to planned obsolescence in a way, is like, don't go in with the intention of wanting to leave. That's, I think, another big thing with, at least before you even get to marriage. I have friends that have like gotten into relationships that are like, I'm just not really sure. And I was like, then why are you in a relation? Why are you in a committed relationship with that person if you're not even wanting to like really commit yourself to them?
See, I do something different in my life. I don't look at things in a temporary term, even when it comes to friendships. I've known Ian a really long time.
Right.
I expect that I'm going to know Ian a really long time. I don't have to agree with everything he says.
Right.
Jason, you and I have known each other 5 years now, maybe?
Yeah.
Roughly 5 years now. I expect that to be 30 years. I have friends. I have one friend that's, I'm almost 60, that is almost 50 years. Okay. I don't look at things in that temporary term. I don't want to say, Jason, I'm going to be your friend now. I expect us to be friends 20 years from now. I want to see us sitting in retirement, watching grandkids or fishing or whatever, smoking a cigar, which we need to do the cigar episode too.
Yeah, we need to do that one.
Yeah. I expect that. I want to see this man's kids and his grandkids. I want to see Ian's life like that. Hopefully he'll allow me to be part of that life.
Right.
Especially if he has a daughter. Most people keep me around for when their daughters start dating. So, you got to go through him. Okay. Just do that thing right there. Okay. And that's what I expect from you and I. I believe in long term. I didn't go into my relationship with Miranda hoping that I wanted all of it.
But that's what I'm saying is like nowadays it like you go into a relationship thinking, what can I get out of it? And again, if anything goes wrong, I got my out. Mm-hmm. You go in with the intention that you have friend. Well, I'm not even talking about getting into the commitment of marriage. Like that is also a problem too. I'm just talking about like even just like dating somebody. Nowadays, again, even people in my age bracket aren't getting married really because they know it's going to be a failure. And they're going into a relationship going, I'm not going to marry this person because, to be honest, I don't really think I'm going to be with this person long term. Like, then why even entertain the idea of being with them? If you can't even like realistically think to yourself, like, I want to dedicate myself to this person fully, then why waste their time? Why waste your time? Just I like that's what I'm. It's like that kind of conversation. It's kind of crazy. You're just lonely. You're just lonely.
Exactly. I think what's going on is there are many people that get into relationships because all my friends are in relationships, and I feel left out, and I feel a hole there, and I need to fill it. But relationships take work. And it's something you got to kind of stay on every single day. And, me as the single guy of the podcast here, I could tell you it takes work, and you have to be willing to put that work in. And if you're not really willing to put that kind of work in 100% of the time, unfortunately, it's caused me problems.
Right.
And sometimes I've had to be honest with myself. I'm very happy and content in my life.
Right.
So I'm not feel like I'm missing something. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they do take work, and you've got to be willing to do that. And if you're not, you're just inviting on a bunch of misery on yourself.
But see, that's the whole concept of the book that I'm writing. That's the whole mentality of it. And if you look to the extremes of what that is, let's just look at something very, very simple. When you were a kid, how did you go get a drink of water?
Hose pipe.
Hose pipe. Or you went and got a glass.
Right.
And you got an ice tray. You put a couple of cubes in it, and you filled it up from the tap water, and you got it. Now We're filling up our seas and our rivers and our landfills with plastic cups because we all have to have our personalized disposable bottle of water because it's convenient.
Yep.
Instead of putting forth the effort to go get a glass, fill it up, and then wash the glass, now I can just toss it. And so we're ruining our environment and our mentality in life because we're lazy and we want to do something simple and destroy our
environment,
ecology. Just everything.
I mean, they have mountains and islands of trash in the ocean.
We've talked about trash on this episode.
Yes.
How many? Next time you go out, do me a favor. Take a couple of pictures of just everything disposable that y'all find in those
I will tell
trash
you,
pickups.
I will tell you this. This past weekend, I went out.
Okay.
And joined Keep Tigertown Beautiful. And the location where we're at, in an hour and a half, we collected over 75 contractor bags of garbage. And most of that is bottles, plastic bottles, styrofoam, all kind of plastic type containers, mattresses, chairs.
Mattresses.
Yes.
Wow.
So it is just that little small microcosm. I looked at that and I went, now multiply that across the globe.
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
How much mountains of garbage we are accumulating because of the type of society we have today where everything is disposable. We use it and we throw it away. Nothing gets reused.
I had a friend of mine in the late 80s. He played for an NFL team, and he retired. He was a kicker, and he moved to California, and he started a career as a stand-up comedian, but he also started a company that basically he was offended by disposable diapers that were filling up landfills with disposable diapers. So he brought back the cloth diaper, but he also provided a service. So basically when you had a kid, you had a dirty diaper, and he invented this little thing where you put the diaper in it and you push it down, and it stayed in this long plastic bag, and it wrapped it up and it sealed it so the smell didn't get out there. And then once or twice a week, they would come, depending on how much you wanted to pay, and they would take that bucket and they would provide you with X amount of diapers. And they just kept that going.
Wow.
Okay. And he made a lot of money
with
that service.
Yeah.
Because we're getting rid of disposable diapers, and the plastic that they used to wrap everything up was super biodegradable. You couldn't keep it in that plastic for more than 2 weeks because it was going to start degrading.
Right.
And he changed something. And it's this whole disposable mentality that kind of has gotten me to where I don't look at anything temporary anymore. I don't like using paper plates. I know there's a time and place for it, but that's also one of the things I like about Miranda too. She has nice dishes. She has nice glasses. Now when we merged the two households together, we both realized that we like the same things. There was nothing really disposable that we had together that we put together, and it was really nice to see that. I think now that I'm looking back at it, that's one of the things that kind of attracted to me to her, was she didn't see life so disposably as the rest of the world. But think of what else do y'all use disposable in your day-to-day life? What do you think about on your jobs or things like that? How much is disposable now?
I mean, it's a lot of things.
I mean, Mallory and I have kind of like worked towards like stepping away from a lot of disposable stuff. Like we bring a lot of our own like shopping bags to the store and stuff like that. So
awesome.
There are things that we're trying to make conscious decisions, but the hard part is like when the standard of companies, when the standard given to people, like you go to like a fast food restaurant or a coffee shop or whatever, and like that's the default. That's the hard part, is to we have to make an effort like to make the decision to not do that. And I feel like that's where it's hard, and I feel like the caveat needs to be of like, I think the standard needs to be the alternative. Like, and I know there's a whole bunch of cost effective reasons why it's not, but that's the hard part, is like if everyone wants to get on board, it's not just the people that are at fault, it's also the companies that are at fault.
Sure, absolutely. But y'all, what's encouraging is that y'all have come together and y'all have made a conscious decision as a couple to do something a little bit different.
Right.
Let's take these bags. Let's take these special things. And Miranda does the same thing. She has these bags, you know, and you go and get your stuff. You put it in it. You come home.
A prime example is, I mean, for instance, the milk that we made with this coffee. Like, I mean, there's no way I can get milk without it being in like a plastic carton. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least not that I know of. At least not the milk that I would like. I mean, you know, there's no really good solution or alternative to that. Like, I mean, so that's the hard part of that sort of stuff. It's like, I know there are milks that I could probably get that are, but like that, you know, it's just things like that. It's like some of the things that I would like to do, I would have to either like drastically change my life routine. Like I've already made some decisions. I've already like done some. I've already made some changes in my life to help, you know, reduce my plastic use in a way. But sometimes, like even down to some of the shampoos or soaps that we use. Like, I mean, I know there's alternatives, but like, I mean, you know, within reason. I'm not going to go out of my, I'm going to try and go out of my way a little bit, but if I have to like go out of my way and spend a whole lot of extra money, sometimes I can't justify it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's the hard part is that I feel like if we could all get to that point where like there are alternatives that are cost effective, where like it is reasonable to make that decision for everyone, that would be great, but it's not available right now. And that's the hard part about it all.
I've make a conscious effort. I buy products that I know that I can recycle.
Right.
And at the same time, if somehow that product, if I buy it, goes toward preserving something, like I'm a big fan of protecting, like, you know, this wildlife.
Right.
Okay.
You know, like elephants and lions and the big animals that I feel that are being destroyed by the poaching that's going on. So I like to buy things that I know there's money going toward working to preserve those kind of things.
Right.
So I just, it's a passion of mine.
And I will say, like, I mean, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. There are, like, I mean, trust me when I say, like, even in the past few years, like, there are some changes that have been made. I mean, even the fact that, like, Mallory and I have been able to very easily get ourselves on, like, pretty big reusable shopping bags. I mean, I don't remember that. I was like a kid being like always readily available, but I mean, I don't know. So I know there are things in right now that are changing for the better, but I think there's still a lot of work to be done. Though.
Yes, there's a lot of work when you just consider everything that we do. That so many things is disposable, that don't get reused, just gets thrown away. And fills up our landfills.
Right.
Our landfills are just crazy. It's insane to me. And then that's not even the stuff that makes it there. Jason's part of something, a great program. They filled up 70 plus shopping bags Saturday.
Contractor.
Right.
I mean, these are big bags.
Yeah. Contractor bags. And that's basically every Saturday. And that group goes out really every day.
Yep.
Do you know how many gallons one of those bags are?
Oh, they
fit in a 50. They fit in a 55-gallon drum.
I see. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
these are big bags. These
big
are not
bags.
the little typical bags that you see. The
13
city
quart.
Yeah,
little
city little orange. No, these are actually like 3-4 mil type thick bags that are used.
Well, that's what I was asking. Yeah, because I know that. I mean, I know that they're big. I've seen them before. I just didn't know the.
But you know, think about how. I mean, the idea of trying to in essence turn everything we use into something that can be recycled would be a massive shift in just manufacturing. I mean, with that in mind, if you can somehow do that, but the problem is cost that comes into play. There's of course. You know, I mean.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not sitting here saying that I have some sort of perfect solution for it all, or that I'm even a great citizen, and I'm doing everything right. Because like I said, even a prime example is like the type of milk that we use. Like I like this type of milk, and I could probably go out of my way to get something different. So a lot of times I just choose this anyways, even though like there's no real alternative that I think would be even more environmentally aware, I guess. I don't know. But
I recycle pretty much. I do have a recycle container at my house,
right.
And so paper products and like paper, I collect and then I'll bring them to a shredding place.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But see, that's something else too. And in the early 80s and mid 80s, when computers were really just hitting the market, they were supposed to save the trees, because instead of printing something, you were going to hand somebody a disk. And instead of doing that, because, Bill Gates obviously created the first viruses and then sold the antivirus to it, computers weren't as talking to each other as we thought they were going to be. But then what they did was they created an easier avenue for us to do the paperwork and create bigger reports and bigger graphs, and it made it easier. And now we're using a gazillion times more paper than we did before.
Yeah.
So it didn't help.
Oxymoron of the Paper Reduction Act, Right. I mean, we don't use less paper.
Even, paper. To go back to this, like the original conversation about the Volkswagen, I don't think that, I think, yes, the disposability is bad, but I don't want to frame that in a complete bad light, because I learned a lot about auto mechanics from Volkswagen Bugs.
Oh, sure.
I had my cousin who was a close friend of mine in my high school years, and he brought it upon himself to try and get one up and running. And there was a handful of them in our local area and even beyond, where he traveled to get some. And we spent afternoons and weekends and stuff with a handful of sockets and and a dream, and we put together a Volkswagen Bug that ran, and we could go down the road and go to the gas station or whatever. Mm-hmm. I have very fond memories of those. So I do think that some aspects of it, like that, the convenience of it, the accessibility of it, those kind of things I think are great. Now, obviously, once you start tiptoeing into you can just get rid of it, that's the stuff that's okay, that's a little hard to.
Well, that was the
justify.
first.
What was it? Herbie was the
Herbie,
movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was the first mentality,
you're right.
I think it started a movement. I think it made it easier to fall into this movement of disposability. I'm not technically really blaming the car, but it was the first major disposable item that you really bought, and it became the most popular car for years and years and years.
As time went on, and as the less, I'm trying to say this in a way that as much energy that it took to produce an item, as that level dropped, and it became easier to make that item, then the move to disposability.
Well, let me lay this to y'all. Let me throw this out there. The last Volkswagen Bug was made in 2004.
Really? I thought
Think about that. The
it
longevity
was
of that car.
That's incredible.
From the end of the war, basically, until 2004, or the end of 2003, but close enough.
Right.
How long?
Yeah.
That car was forever. And they're still running. You can still get them. You can still get parts. You can still find a great garage find or, whatever on it. And
to kind of piggyback off what we talked about last week a little bit about the whole social media stuff as well, is we talking about making your life more efficient and trying to better, trying to use your time more wisely. Again, it kind of feels like that as well. You're sacrificing, you're making everything so disposable and so quick and so easy and less work, or just trying to make things more efficient. But we kept asking ourselves if we could, that we never stopped to ask if we should, kind of moment.
Sure.
Where it's
well, I mean, you had a movement there just of trying to maximize profits,
right? And even still, and I think again,
stuff is breaks easy. You got to replace it, so you're producing more stuff. That's more money to be made,
right? And also saying that with the whole planned obsolescence thing, it got to the point where I don't have all of the details about this, so please bear with me. Take what I say with a grain of salt. But I watched videos and I read some articles and stuff about that. There are some great videos online about the whole light bulb thing, like I was talking about, because they had like I don't want to say laws, but people had to start intervening because, again, like it got to the point where the planned obsolescence got so bad where, people had to step in and be like, hey, you can't just manufacture things to break. And I think it's been a conversation that's been kind of lost to time, but I think that conversation came back around because of it was a handful of years ago whenever iPhone whenever an iPhone got older, they would bog down the system and make it slower on the older generations.
Yeah, they got caught doing that with batteries.
They got caught doing that. Not only with batteries, but it was also just like your phone would run slower, and they were like, it's just the older model. But it was like, but there was some things in the background that were happening that people found out about that were
I want you to buy the new stuff.
Exactly.
When Ford Thunderbird came out in the 80s, they went from the large Thunderbird to the medium-sized Thunderbird and then the smaller Thunderbird. Their whole goal was to go after women's money. Women had all of this money now, and they were buying these cars. And they proved that a lot of the plastics and things in that car were designed to break 6 months after the warranty went out, because their idea was not only are we going to sell these cars to women, but where is a woman going to take a car to be repaired? They're not going to take it like you and I will. We'll fix it ourselves, or we'll take it to the shade tree mechanic. They're going to take it back to their dealer. And so part of this planned obsolescence that Ian keeps talking about, that was very directed. That was on purpose.
That was a targeted strategy.
Yes, a demographic that they said, this is how we're going to make our money. We may not make it on the front end, but we'll make it on the back end. And we'll keep our mechanics and our dealers going this way.
And now cars, you can't really work on cars anymore.
No, you have to
least
take
not the
it
same way.
Right.
Unless you go to some training.
Mm-hmm. I have some friends that have bought the new Tahoe. You can't even do a brake job anymore on it. You have to take it to the dealer and have things programmed in the computer for the brake job.
That's what I'm saying. So unless you happen to have gone to school and learned and worked at a professional mechanic shop where you learn, where you could take this home and somehow maybe you can do some of this stuff at your house.
Or have access to the right tools or computer equipment.
The software.
Yeah, because John Deere got in a bind a while back with their tractors. With the farmers couldn't work on their own stuff. You had to have a John Deere mechanic with all the software and the computers to come work on it for you.
I'm telling you, we have set ourselves, I hate to say it, but we have set ourselves up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
I hope nothing really happens where that people know that know how to fix certain things. I mean, if all that goes away, we're messed up.
I can tell you right now, I have a close friend of mine. His name's Dominic.
Hi, Dominic.
Yeah, well, Dominic he's a unique individual. He's an intelligent guy. He and I have very similar upbringings. But the thing that's a little different is, like, he is a lawn care guy, and he also is it's hard for me to call him like a handyman or repair guy. He's a technician. That guy can fix anything. Basically, you give him enough time and you give it to him, he can fix it. And part of his, I don't want to speak for him. I don't think it's like a side hustle. I think it may be like his secondary career path. Right. He has clients that he will fix things for, like washing machines, not refrigerators, but like ovens for sure, microwaves. I think he's done like CD players and stuff. So like it's all these little things, like, and it's so interesting to hear how his brain works and him discussing fixing things, and it makes me really excited to see that there are people still out there that can fix that kind of stuff. Because again, I haven't thought recently about fixing that kind of stuff, but it's cool to see that he's around the same age as I am, and he's making some good money, talking to people, he's also like a really good, personable kind of guy, and also coming in and looking over some things and fixing it is just like with me and computers and Wi-Fi and camera equipment. People are like, Ian, I don't know how to fix it, and it's kind of cool to like step back and see a different area of that. Of like, if he was describing a problem with one like of an oven he was working on, and I was like, I have no idea what I would do if that oven was doing that. And he's like, it's easy. You just got to do this, that, and the other. And just to hear him talk about it and get excited about it, I was like, it's cool that you know how to do that and that you're passionate about it. And then if anything if anything breaks for me, I know who I'm calling. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of cool to have people like that around still. But, you know, I know that's a thing that's few and far between.
Well, there's huge ebbs and flows in all of this. Like we keep talking about the auto industry.
Right.
Well, cars get so expensive, people quit buying them and they want to work on them. And then they come down, and then, you know, the repair costs are now too astronomical. I'll just go buy a new car. I'll just get rid of this one. And then we've watched over the last year, 2 years, just the astronomical cost to buy a new vehicle. Now people are trying to repair their old ones. And then you have a supply chain issue where nobody can get parts. And it's taken, you know, your mom and pop parts dealers 2 to 3 weeks to get in normal parts that normally they could have on the shelf.
I think that that situation, because of the COVID and all the supply chain issues that happen with that, I think now the lots are starting to have all these cars, and nobody's buying them.
Nobody's buying them because they're too expensive.
Yeah, they're not willing to work with you. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm hearing people going to the lot saying, "Look, it's what's on the sticker. It's what it is."
I have
and
a friend
sometimes
of mine.
they even go, even it's more than the sticker.
I have a friend of mine who's a used car manager, and he was telling me people before all of this would buy a car, and then 6 months to a year later come in and sell it to them or trade in for more money than they paid for the car.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
The car actually became an investment.
Or something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, you buy it cheap and sell it for high, you know? So
that's crazy.
That is because most automobiles are terrible investment.
Oh, the second they dropped off the lot, they're depreciated.
Well, if you drive a car off the lot, you lose a third of the value. If you buy a computer and take it home, by the time you get home, it's already obsolete and worth a tenth of what you paid for it.
Right.
So everything falls into that category.
Oh, yeah. Even phones are so guilty of it now, where it feels like every year on the dot there's a new phone. And I remember whenever I think Mallory and I were talking about Mallory, I think has like an S10 Ultra or whatever it is. I can't remember. And now they have like an S22 something or another. I'm like, oh, wait, how many iterations have you missed? And Mallory's like, I think I've only had this phone for a couple of years now. And I was like, I mean, yeah.
With phones, all they can do is improve the cameras and the chip.
You're right.
But
again, it's just the, you know, it's also, I think it's also a status symbol too. With
I was fixing to say, not only is it a disposability conversation, but it also becomes, I got to have the latest and the greatest, so I'm just going to chunk this one.
Right.
And I'm going to get the latest and the greatest.
Spend more money.
I'm so happy I bought this. This is the Note 20 Ultra. Mm-hmm. My last payment on it is done. So now I'm operating
you own it.
I own the phone free and clear.
There you go.
My bill went down $50.
Yeah.
And I don't have any cracks in it. I got some in the Gorilla Glass on it, but I kept this one the whole distance, and I'm so proud of myself for that.
Love it.
And I'm going to try to keep it for at least another year.
Yeah. I want to say I've had this one since I got back from Canada in like 2019, 2020. And I didn't want to have to pay off the phone. I paid for it outright, and it was a pretty penny, but you know, anyways.
I see. I still have the iPhone 12 Max.
Oh my God, that's so old.
That's so old.
Right. Isn't it like
I usually change my phones every other generation.
Right.
Okay.
So I've always kind of operated in a 2-year cycle.
Right.
So
that's probably healthy.
I've never had to change it like every year. I thought that was kind of ridiculous because I didn't feel like the upgrades were worth it. But I'm hearing a lot. I have an iPhone, so this I'm hearing a lot on this 15 that's coming out. So, but I know either you're an Apple person or you're not.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think you're the only one here.
I am. I'm the only Apple guy here.
That's okay. That's okay.
You know,
I use Apple for my work stuff. A lot of the work stuff that I do, a lot of the production element stuff and video editing and all that kind of stuff, it works. it works well on the presentation softwares that I have. It works better on Mac a lot of times. And also, I think Mac also is just attributed with a certain status to where I can go into a office place and commission them to buy a handful of MacBooks, and they're like, oh yeah, that's gonna be really good, And so that's what I'm doing.
So I just can't convince you to take the bite of the apple, right?
Oh no. Like I said, I keep it at a healthy distance. I use it for my work stuff, and then the second I close that laptop and I go home, I clock out from Apple, and I'm like, okay,
now I'm back to Android.
And back to Android again, back home. Yeah,
that's
so.
right.
A lot of people like that Android
Jason,
platform.
You need to come to the dark side.
I'm
look, I've got friends of mine that are like, "Why do you have Apple? It's so restrictive. You can't do anything with it." I'm like, what do I do with the phone? Just surf the net and answer calls and take pictures. Right. That's really about it.
And for me, it's all a case by case basis. If you want to have, if that makes you comfortable, makes you happy, that's fine. And that's okay. For me, whenever I had an iPhone, it wasn't for me. I didn't like it.
That's what I'm saying. You like that platform, and you don't. And I'm not necessarily. I'm not passionate about it. That's just what I've used for all these years.
My boss, on the other hand, he has an Apple Watch, has an Apple phone, he has all of it, and he will sit there and go like, "Come on, Ian, you gotta come over to the dark side." I'm like, no, you're not gonna. I have worked in this industry long enough that it's no convincing is gonna get me.
It's so funny because I don't have nothing else Apple other than my phone.
Right.
I mean, my watch, the watch I use is Garmin. That's an Android.
Yeah.
My home computer is a PC, so it has nothing to do with Apple. So exactly. I mean, it's
my TV is Samsung. My Blu-ray player is Samsung. My pad is Samsung, and my phone. My phone is Samsung.
Okay.
I just went to Sony on TV.
Yeah. I have a Google phone.
I've had Samsung for years.
I have a Google phone, and I really enjoy the platform.
I will say Google does give you the Android platform. You can do a lot more with it.
I probably to my own detriment, I have a lot of things tied up in a couple of Gmail accounts that I have, like with work stuff and with personal stuff. So like my phone can I can upload things to it and operate it, and it will seamlessly work with my home computer, my work computer, and my podcast computer here. So I can just, whatever I do on my computers, it's all synced together. That makes me so happy.
Yes,
just convenience. And
but I want to give me an iPad. Okay, so I will have another. Actually, I've got an old iPad from years ago, but I probably want the new one.
At least with our new table from Manny's Woodworking, we have room to put our pads.
We need to put some some little power things in here where you can have a little cord and stuff like that. I'm just thinking.
Oh yeah, a little charge port.
Yeah, little charge ports.
Yeah, I don't have
I think that would be a nice addition to the table.
Maybe it would be.
Maybe we can do that.
Yeah.
So
a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we had a good conversation on Disposable, and we chased a couple of rabbits here, but it was fun.
right. I mean, like I said, it's a great topic, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to obsolescence and disposability and the modern world we live in right now.
I mean, what other things are disposable?
Everything.
That's what I'm saying. Our whole society's disposable now.
Yes, and that was the point of it. Even human beings are disposable.
Right.
And that's what's sad about the whole mentality of the disposable world is everything is now disposable.
I'm pretty sure I've told this story before on the show, but I'll tell it again for those who may not have heard. But Mallory got me these really nice leather boots from a company that I had my eye on for a long time, and I wanted them so bad. But they're real leather, really nice handmade boots that are really good. And of course, you're going to pay for that. You're not just going to get some. You could buy some cheap boots somewhere else that were just mass produced and manufactured, and probably going to fall apart in a very quick amount of time. I fell in love with these boots so much, and I really broke them in, and they're like my favorite shoes that I wear basically all the time whenever I can, especially going into the office. And I noticed on the left shoe that the sole was kind of like the threading was coming apart because I had worn them so much after about a year or so, and I was so scared that I was going to have to. Again, the first mentality of mine was these shoes are busted. I don't want to have to go get new ones because that was just that mentality. I think it's been just bred into me, I guess. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure in my local area they have like shoe repair places. Like,
what are they?
people
Cobblers?
Well, yeah,
Cobblers.
right, cobblers. And I was like, and I think this guy was just a shoe repair. I don't know if there's a difference in terminology. But I walked in there, and he was just this nice old guy who was just like there with a whole bunch of shoes, like dress shoes, all the polishes, you know, the seat on like a pedestal where he could shine them or whatever, like the whole 9 yards. It was a cool place. And I walked in there and I was like, hey, is there any way that I can get these, like, my favorite boots fixed? Because like the threading's all out of it. He looked at me, he was like, I don't know. And I was like, come on. And he was like, no, I'm just playing with it. It's super easy. And before I was even like, and he didn't even turn around. He had them, and he had, you know, he spouted off some sort of terminology. He's like, we need like a something on the left shoe, blah, blah, blah. He didn't even turn around. He just held out the shoes behind him, and like another guy came running up and grabbed the shoes and like was off with them, you know, looking at them.
I used to buy, I still buy my shoes. I like, when it comes to dress shoes, I like Johnson & Murphy.
Okay.
And the local Johnson & Murphy, where it's no longer there, where I live,
mm-hmm.
I used to bring them back, and they would get them fixed. Well, eventually they stopped doing that.
Really?
Because they said the gentleman that was doing it retired.
Wow.
And that was it.
That's
stopped.
another dying art. That's
it's
another
a dying art.
That's another disposable, and you're only going to get a shoe now that maybe lasts you 6 months to a year.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Try getting a pair of runners or tennis shoes right now, and you're done.
Oh yeah,
you're done. You're going to go. Here's another $150.
I'll
Another $200.
Go through tennis shoes. I can tell you.
I want to say I've had these boots for working on probably 2 or 3 years now, and
see that's impressive.
So much.
That's good.
That's impressive.
These are great. My favorite shoes, and of course, in the company, because I love them so much, and I love how much they held up. I bought dress shoes. It's underneath my desk over there right now, and they're like a darker brown leather shoe, and they're just as nice, and I love them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways,
but all of these things now are just so disposable, and I'm encouraged that you found somebody to repair your shoes. That's so
and that I started thinking about that now more so. I've never really used a tailor or a seamstress or whatever the correct term is. I have a suit of mine where on the right arm, the inner lining, I think, is like got messed up somehow. And I, again, had the same sort of mentality initially of like, man, I'm kind of upset that it's still, the outside still looks great. It's still usable, but it's just this kind of, it's like all lost its threading or whatever, and it's coming unwoven.
There's a tailor or seamstress by my mom where she lives, and it's right around the corner. And that's another dying art.
Well, so I thought about it. I haven't done that yet, but I was like, but I would actually really like to wear that suit again. And I kind of want to get it fixed, and you know, how many people would just
there's not that's definitely it's a dying art.
Oh yeah, especially the stuff.
The good ones, they will charge you a pretty penny.
Oh yeah. Well, and again, and like that's
for custom made clothes.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
But when you're working to get something repaired, how much you actually saving?
Yeah.
Oh, because the coat that in question is $250, $300. So it's not like the most expensive suit coat in the world, but it's definitely not some cheap blazer.
You've worn it, you're used to it,
and I like it. It fits
well. What's it going to cost you $50, $60 to get it fixed,
right? And
you still have it, and you haven't added to the disposability of our mentality,
right, of all the clothes and everything.
So we will need an update. If you find somebody
and
you get your coat fixed.
Right. I haven't worn it because I don't want to make it worse. You know what I mean? I don't want to wear it out or anything. Mm-hmm. So it's a little upsetting, but I do want to. Maybe I will break it out at some point and I'll let you know about it. So it's a cool suit.
Well, I used to carry concealed part of the job all of the time, and a lot of my coats would get these little worn spots in them.
Yeah.
And especially when I was in California or in New Orleans in Florida, I had a tailor that I could send my coats to, and it was a little family, and they would put a little patch.
Oh, that's cool.
That would wear better. Not only would they fix it,
right,
but then they would add something to make it more durable.
That's cool.
And I saved tons of money, and I got to keep my coats that I enjoyed or my suits, because back in the day when I was young and thin, I could wear a double-breasted suit like nobody.
There you go.
You know, got older and fatter over the years. I don't do that anymore. But, but back in the day, you wanted to keep. If you had a nice suit, you want to keep that suit.
Of course.
Did you have a favorite brand that you liked to buy back then? Or did
I don't
just kind of
remember,
whatever?
just whatever. And then you got it tailored to fit you, and once it fit, that was it. You know,
Mallory and I had a long conversation about looking nice, carrying yourself in a way, like table etiquette and, you know, dressing nice, like those sort of things. Like those, another one of those things that feels like it's dying in our society is like the art of looking nice, of like just putting yourself together, and like, especially for men, like just being able to own a suit and, you know, either have it tailored correctly or knowing the sizing correct where you can like look nice in a suit whenever you need. Realizing that that's not something that just is like a common thing in our society now is, it's crazy. And the thing that started the conversation was like table etiquette. It's just like being at a nice fine dining restaurant and knowing how to carry yourself. You don't have to know all the terminology. You don't have to be super snooty or uppity, but just like being able to like sit down at this nice meal and like carry yourself in a certain way is another one of those things that I think is getting lost. And, you know,
well, we're a less formal society now. I mean, it's especially with the advent of tech.
Oh yeah.
People working from home. I mean, if you go to these places that tech businesses, I mean, it's not like it used to be.
Well, when our grandparents got on a plane, they were in a suit and coat and a dress, and they dressed up to get on the plane. Now you're in your pajamas and flip-flops, or what are they called, Crocs or whatever, something like that. So, you know, we're losing, like Ian said, just a certain etiquette. Etiquette has become disposable.
Right.
Yeah.
Many things
etiquette,
are just...
that's a good point, Stoney. I like that. Etiquette is disposable now.
Right. It actually, like the conversation I was having with Mallory was sparked because of a conversation in her workplace where people, I think, were raised by a certain sternness about etiquette, and they're kind of like opposing that in a way. But now she's like, but you may not have to, like, you know, do all the... you know, all the stuff, having the forks and spoons in the right place, and, you know, don't cut the next bite. Like, you don't have to do all that kind of stuff necessarily, but some of it is a good guideline for, you know, being at least a little put together in
a little like polite.
Oh, right.
How about just being polite?
Exactly. Yeah. And
we're
so
not polite anymore to people.
Oh yeah.
And that's a shame. That's something else that has become disposable. Respect is disposable now. Politeness is disposable
if
now.
it's even there at all.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it may have become so disposable, it's gone now.
Right.
Just simple things in life.
Because we're such in a rush.
Courtesy.
Yeah.
Driving
down the road.
Patience anymore.
Yeah, right.
Man, that's crazy. You're not wrong.
When you were driving 20 years ago, oh, come on in. You could see people waving and come on in and hitting the brights, come on in. And now courtesy is just gone. And everything is so disposable for my convenience.
I think
that's what it is. That's what disposability is my convenience. What I think is my efficiency, because now I need to have this personalized bottled water made out of plastic because I'm too lazy to just go get a glass of water and then wash the glass.
Right.
And now I think there are people that would not be opposed to getting a glass and getting. I have talked to people. The reason they drink bottled water is because they actually makes them actually drink water.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They won't drink water otherwise
because it's not convenient to continue to go up and fill your cup again.
That's why they get cans of Coke or whatever soft drink.
On my desk over there, I have a bottle that I keep on my desk. I have like always with me, and it's I call it my security blanket in a way because I usually will hold it and, while I'm talking and doing presentations and stuff. But I will always have that because it's the same sort of thing. My convenience is shifted in a different way where, like, if I don't have that, you're right, I probably won't reach for a glass of water or, but having it there, I know for a fact it's always.
I mean, it's sad, but it's just true. I mean,
right.
It's. it makes you drink water. Actually makes you be probably a little bit healthier than you would be if you didn't.
Right.
So, I mean, you drink probably more soft drinks.
Oh, yeah.
What's the point of being healthy if we kill our environment?
Well, that's a big question.
We're poisoning ourselves right now. And look, we talk about it, but there are places around the globe that are just outright disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame
what
we've turned our planet into.
And we wonder why no aliens, except for the Great Filter, why no aliens come here, because we're destroying our own planet.
Just look at them in their own filth. You know?
Yeah.
Probably looking at us going, my goodness.
Yep.
What are they thinking of? But yeah.
Maybe they have some compassion. They're like, I remember being there one point in time.
Well, I mean, what's going to cause change?
Oh, of course.
What's going to cause the change? The only thing that makes people change is when what you're doing, you can't do anymore.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, you just can't do it anymore.
Well,
that's when people like, oh, we got to do something different here.
Right. I don't like to use the term, but in this context, it's like forcing change in a way. That's what I think I was saying initially. Whenever we people need to affect change in their lives, being conscious about that. But I don't think it's 100% their fault, because I don't think that they're the prime culprit of the problem, like us people. I think it is bigger forces at play that are the real people that need to get there are some major plastic in the ocean from fish nets and from other stuff that is not our doing, that is a big problem that needs to get sorted out. That no matter what I do to affect change in my own life, that's not going to change. No. And so it's things like that where it's big companies and all these other things that need to get put in check of I don't know.
We have to be very careful about the Kool-Aid that we're drinking. Because everything revolves around somebody else's money. And now they're going to sell me something for my convenience, and I'm going to make your life better.
Right.
And so we buy into that for somebody else's profit. Remember the TV dinner?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Do either one of y'all know how the TV dinner came about?
How did the TV dinner come
That came out in World War II.
I think you tell me about this.
And so what happened was they wanted a somewhat nutritious meal to feed to the soldiers. And it was easy to heat up, blah, 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 blah. Well, the U.S. government actually had a guy started a company making TV dinners, or what was called something else then. So he's going, okay, the war's over. Now what am I going to do? So they had all these, people, think tank people say, well, why don't you rebrand it as a TV dinner, and we'll sell it to wives and mothers as a way to make their life more convenient.
Right.
And so instead of having to spend 4 hours cooking, you can heat this up in 20 minutes and your life is now better. And as a society, we bought it. So now home-cooked meals became disposable for our convenience and our efficiency and to make our life better. And I guess that's at the same time Coke had to stop putting cocaine into the Coca-Cola, and people weren't as energized.
Believe it or not, speaking of, I read an article today.
I read the same one. I know where
New
you're going.
Jersey is the only there's a plant,
Coca-Cola plant there.
It's the only one licensed to import coca leaves.
Yes, and still make cocaine.
Oh, wow.
And the U.S. government's actually paying them.
I forget where that article came from, but yes, I found that interesting because, wow, they're still doing it.
So this disposable mentality has come into every aspect of our life.
And a lot of this innovation came out of World War II.
Yep. Well, our best innovation comes out of war.
Mm.
The one thing we're really good at in this world is killing people.
Oh, yeah.
Well, good or bad, I mean, you think of washing machines. Think of what people had to do before there were washing machines.
Well, that's what, there's so much in the way of the advent of technology that really makes our lives easier in a lot of ways. It's just there's a certain point in time where it's we're really pinching pennies here for saving time and being more efficient. And it's is it really though, or are you just
lazy?
Yeah, you're just lazy at that point.
Well, as a society evolves, it does become
Oh yeah,
lazier.
right.
I mean, we just do, and the more tech, the more I don't see that stopping.
And we don't have to get into this subject, but it all is circling back around like on a topic that has been really big in my friend group in circles is AI. It's like what is the point? Tell me what the point is. No one can tell me. Like that's what I'm saying. We don't have to talk about it now, but it's another one of those things of like it's just making everything more disposable. It's all making it just you just type it in and just make magic happen. It's like I don't understand.
I think there's going to be more things going on with AI than disposability.
So now, you're right.
I was going to say is now creativity.
Hey, that's what
disposable.
I'm saying. There was a point in time where I could effectively say I am an artist, and right now, even though people across the world are losing their jobs because a robot has taken their job. At this point in time in history, as an artist, a robot can't take my job. I can't say that anymore. I'm not worried about it. I know I'm good enough at my job. I'm confident enough. But it's just the idea of like we live in a world now where there is a possibility that possibly one day the art that I make, somebody can just go, I'll just go ahead and type it in an engine and it's done. I don't need you anymore. Like that's kind of messed up. That's like the creativity aspect of it. I can understand some like manual labor aspects of like, potentially introducing robots into the equation to help save human lives or help prolong human lives in a way. But man, why?
McDonald's is fixing to go all robot. You're going to have one or two people in a day working at McDonald's making that $15 an hour minimum wage, just keeping things stocked up so the robots can do the work.
I went into a McDonald's this past weekend. I hadn't been into McDonald's in a long time.
Uh-oh.
I just don't go there. But I walked in, it was a brand new McDonald's. I'd just been rebuilt.
Okay.
And you had to go to the kiosk.
And I went to the kiosk and I was like,
what the what?
Wow, this is, I had to punch all this stuff on the screen and run my credit card and it's okay, it prints a ticket and just wait at your table and we'll bring it. I'm like, this is just, God, this is so different from what I remember.
For
people who go to McDonald's a lot, they're probably saying, well, Jason, that's been going on for a while.
They probably ask you why you didn't use your app.
To piggyback,
probably so, yeah.
To piggyback off that story, I was the same thing. Mallory and I went to the movies, and before we went to go sit in the movie, we wanted to go get something to eat real quick. And the thing that was right around the corner was in walking distance was McDonald's. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go there. It's no big deal. Something quick, easy, cheap. We can get some food before we have to go sit down in this movie. And I was at the kiosk and I was like, this is the same thing. I haven't been in a McDonald's in a long time. And I was like, this is kind of weird, but I understand how it works. And I punch it in, got our order all set aside. And then Mallory went to the restroom during that time. So she came back, and what she came back to was me with these two old ladies at the other kiosk on the other side. As I was finishing up mine, I got my ticket. They were like, hey, I really can't figure this out. I don't know what's happening. And I was like, she asked, she's like, could you help me with this? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. And she just wanted to get ice cream for her and her friend. That's all she wanted. It was like an old ice cream cone from McDonald's. And I was like, man, how times have changed in her generation from when she could probably just go to a McDonald's and order an ice cream cone.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's this whole thing where she walked in and got greeted by nobody and got confused by a computer screen that was giving her too many prompts or asking her questions that she didn't understand, and then had to ask me, for some help, this young guy. And I was like, like I said, she just, I don't think she was fully comprehending what the computer was asking her.
So is she saying that customer service is disposable now?
Right. Oh, she didn't even say anything. So I was perceiving the situation through her. Mm-hmm. It's like I was able to punch in her stuff. She was like, I would rather pay at the front. So I push all the buttons to get it all done. It prints out a ticket, and she's like, you made it look so easy. And I was like, well, I've done this once or twice. I was like cracking some jokes with her. But then I thought about it, and then she took her ticket to the front to pay for it. And I was like, why did she have to go through all this effort of punching it all in just to go up to the front to talk to a person
for $1.50 cone?
Well, she got two of them for her and her friend. I was like, man, how much that may have cost. But again, she the person who checked her out obviously got some sort of notification that she was needed up at the front or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why? It just was like, I don't understand. It just doesn't.
Because they didn't want to hire somebody to work the register.
Exactly.
There's a vendor at my job right now that if I need something, instead of calling, I have to go to their website.
Oh, gosh.
Then I have to find it. Then I have to go through all of these diagrams to click all of the things that I need with it.
Okay.
And then I still don't know when I hit the order button if they even have all of the stuff that I need. And then I have to wait to find out for it to be delivered, whether I get everything or not.
Really?
Because what they don't want is they don't want to have to provide a counter person or a customer service person.
That's right.
So they're basically trying to make me their customer service counter person, phone person, so that I can find something that I need. And I'm like, wait a minute, you don't pay me. It's kind of like going to the Walmart and the person says, would you like to use our self-service checkout thing? Right. No, I don't work here. I don't work here.
Right.
You're not paying me for that. I tell you what, if you want me to use the self-service thing, I would like 15% off.
Yeah, right.
For using the self-service thing, right. I want 15% off.
I mean, I have to say I utilize the self-checkout a lot. Now, there's some things I will go to an actual, a register. It depends on what I'm buying.
If I ever buy alcohol, I always go to a person.
Well, you have to.
You got to go get a person anyway.
No, you don't have to. I have many times when I thought it was
really?
more convenient, I thought I was going to get a bottle of wine and be out real quick. I scanned it, and I had to wait for an attendant to come and type in that I was of age, and the person wasn't around.
I'm surprised.
I waited 5 to 10 minutes for the person to go like, oh. I was like, I don't know who's. I waved down some people and they're like, it's not my station, and I was like, I just wanted to get some wine and get out. And of course, someone was like, oh, do you need help? And I was like, yes, I do. I've been waiting here for a long time actually. I am of age and would like to buy a bottle of wine, but at this point, I kind of just want to go somewhere else now.
Right.
So, anyways, but yeah, you're like it's just things like that I've noticed.
Well, welcome to the disposable world. I hope that we survive it.
Right. Well, you guys want to talk about anything else?
Yes, we got one more order of business.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can do this right.
Uh-oh.
Thank you to the Volcanica Coffee Company, the official coffee company of the Retrospect podcast. We got to try some new coffee today.
Yes.
What was it, Jason?
It's called Jamaica Blue Mountain Peaberry.
It was good, too, because Ian dolled it up for us. What did you make for me, Ian?
I made a cortado for you.
A cortado for me, and it was heavenly.
It's great.
It's a good. It's not. It's very good. I enjoyed my cup of coffee today. We're about almost finished with the
poo-poo coffee.
The poo-poo coffee. So this is to move on to something else.
Right. But we still have some. So if next session you want a little taste of what you're used to, I can make that happen too.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I like this one. This was really good. I enjoyed this cup of coffee.
Now we have some diversity. So now if you want to spice up your Thursday.
I'll have to see what's next. I'll have to look at Volcanica's website and see what other coffees on there. Ian, I may need your some guidance there to.
Will do.
Get that, Jason.
Yeah. Gotcha. Right, I will. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Send me a link.
Well, for anyone out there who has any suggestions or wants to talk to us or reach out to us, we have a Facebook page /Retrospect Pod where you can, of course, like I said, send us some suggestions or just talk about things or comment on what we have to talk about. Or you can just type in Retrospect on all the major podcasting platforms and you should be able to find us that way. But anyways, until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. God bless.
You're the best. Peace.